Hi, my dear students. Last class we completed method of assertive nationalist. Okay, now we are going to study the achievement of assertive nationalist. Assertive nationalist period is considered as a glorious period in the history of Indian national movement because they have clear objectives. They taught the people self-confidence, self-reliance, and prepared the social base of the movement and make everybody to participate in that national movement. Not only the educated middle class, apart from that, they made everybody to participate, such as students, youth, women, like that. So now, what are the achievements they got? Okay, now let us listen the achievements. They conducted a mass-based movement and they achieved a lot in the field of Indian national movement. Okay, so that various points now we are going to discuss the achievements of assertive nationalists. First of all, these assertive leaders they inculcate national pride by reviving India's past. Tilak revived Ganapati festivals, Shivaji festivals, and created national sentiment among the people. Through their writings in Maratha and the Kesari, they preached the idea of nationalism all over the country. Okay, they inculcate national pride by reviving India's past. Ganapati festival, Shivaji festival, and all, and they brought out this created national sentiment among the people. Apart from that, through their writings in Maratha and the Kesari, Tilak preached nationalism. Secondly, they introduced new slogans to Indian nationalist movement. What are that slogans? Non-cooperation, such as non-cooperation, passive resistance, mass agitation, and self-reliance. That means not at all cooperating with the British people and resisting whatever the policy they followed, making mass agitation and self-reliance. These are the various slogans they put forward. Apart from that, they edited newspapers and in vernacular languages. In that way, they succeeded in conveying the message to a large number of people. And through their writings, through their speeches, they inspired the Indians to the spirit of active nationalism. And also, they produced a class of revolutionary people. That means those who are ready to do anything, any sacrifice for the nation at all. And they are ready to sacrifice their lives and property for the sake of the country. They exposed the true nature of British people. Self-reliance was promoted by setting up number of Swadeshi stores. They started different type of Swadeshi stores in different parts of the country. Example, Jamshedji Tata established iron and steel industry, and apart from that, Bengal Chemical Works was set up during this period only, and Rabindranath Tagore set up Swadeshi Bhandars in different parts of the country. Okay. Then they declared that what India needed was total freedom. They declared that India needed was the total freedom from foreign rule. And also many education institutions, apart from all this activity, they set up many education institutions in all over the country during the Swadeshi as a part of their Swadeshi movement. National Council of Education was set up 1906, and later that National Council of Education only later changed into Jadavpur University. Same way National College was set up at Calcutta with Arvind Ghosh as its principal. Then the movement which had started from Bengal, that's first it started in Bengal, but later it spread in all over the country. So the Asian boycott of foreign goods that got its all India character at all. That means it spread in each nook and corner of the country at all. And it was because of the efforts and the selfless sacrifice made by assertive leaders that the partition of Bengal was annulled in 1911, and this gave fresh self-confidence to Indian nationalists. Okay, so these are the important achievement of assertive nationalists. Okay, so again once more listen now. Through the use of Swadeshi and boycott movement, they managed to hurt the British economic interest and made British finally pay heed to the Indians. New program was so simple that everyone could follow it, and soon the rich, poor, urban, and the rural all were involved with the movement. They managed to give the sense of confidence to the people and inspired to fight for Swaraj and were willing to sacrifice their life for the motherland. They introduced new slogans: self reliance, non cooperation, passive resistance, mass agitation, etc. Through their writings, they preached the idea of nationalism. Apart from that, they exposed the true nature of British people in front of the society or in front of the people. And number of Swadeshi stores established. Example, Jamsheddi Tata Industry, Iron and Steel Industry, Bengal Chemical Work, and Swadeshi Bandar set up by Rabindranath Tagore. And number of educational institutions that also they set up for the use of Indians at all. And because of all this, because of all these efforts made by assertive leaders, the partition of Bengal was annulled in 1911. Okay. Now, important leaders of assertive nationalism. Now, we are going to discuss some of the important leaders of assertive nationalism. First, Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Bal Gangadhar Tilak is also known as father of assertive nationalism, father of Indian unrest, or father of assertive nationalism, or Lokmanya Tilak. He played a leading role in popularizing the idea of patriotism and making the Congress movement broad-based one. He was born in Maharashtra. After taking degree in law, he founded the Pune New English School. Also, he set up Deccan Education Society under the guidance of Justice Ranade in 1884. Justice Ranade's guidance, he founded a society called the Deccan Education Society. Gokhale and Tilak were its members. And this society set up many education institutions in all over the country, and including among that one of the famous education institution only, Ferguson College at Pune. Okay, remember Bal Gangadhar Tilak, he was also known as father of assertive nationalism, father of Indian unrest, and also called Lokmanya Tilak. He set up Deccan Education Society with the guidance of Justice Ranade. Okay, now what were his contributions? First of all, demand for Swaraj. He was the first person openly declared and demanded for the Swaraj. Bal Gangadhar Tilak was the first person openly declared and demanded for Swaraj. Swaraj, that is his famous quote, Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it. That is his famous quote. According to him, political rights means that should achieve aggressively, demanding. By aggressively demanding only we can achieve the political rights, according to Bal Gangadhar Tilak. When he entered Indian political scene, it created lot of changes to totally change the face of the Indian national movement. And they, instead of petitions, they started demand for the political right. Early Congress leaders, they petitions, prayers, protest. Instead of that, these assertive national leaders, that means especially Bal Gangadhar Tilak and other and his followers and all, instead of petitions, they started demand for their political right. He was the first nationalist leader who sought close contact with the masses. First person made close contact with the masses. And his objective is to inculcate courage, self-defense and patriotism. With his objective, what were his main objectives? Courage, self-defense and patriotism. He organized many akharas and lathi clubs. For what purpose? For giving physical training for the youth. He set up number of akharas and lathi clubs, and through these akharas and lathi clubs, they gave physical training to the youngsters. Second point, preached the idea of nationalism. 1893, Tilak started traditional religious Ganapati festival. to propagate this Ganapati festival. They started mainly to spread the idea of nationalism through their through the songs and speeches. In 1895, he glorified Shivaji and started Shivaji festival to encourage the Maharashtrians. He also started two newspapers, Maratha, that is in English, and Kesari in Marathi. These two newspapers considered as the masterpiece of his ideas. Through his two newspapers, he spread his ideas in all over the country. And he preached the idea of nationalism and taught the people how to be courageous and self-reliant. He also wrote two books, two well-known books, that is Gita Rahasya and Arctic Home of Vedas. Okay, two newspapers, Maratha and Kesari, two books he composed, that is Gita Rahasya and Arctic Home of Vedas. And he glorified Shivaji festival as well as Ganapati festival to inculcate national feeling among the people. Thirdly, he established Home Rule League. Tilak, he set up Home Rule League at Pune in 1960. Through that, he wanted to attain self-government within the British Empire by constitutional means. For that only, he established Home Rule League at Pune. And he was considered as the forerunner of Gandhiji. Why? He was the forerunner of Mahatma Gandhi in a number of ways. First thing, his ideas of Swaraj was closely related to Mahatma Gandhi's idea of complete independence. Tilak's idea of Swaraj was closely related to Gandhiji's ideas of complete independence. Secondly, Tilak made close contact with the masses. Gandhiji also did same thing. Thirdly, Tilak preached the ideas of Swadeshi and boycott and prohibition. Same ideas were preached and followed by Mahatma Gandhi. And apart from that, Tilak suffered many times imprisonment for the sake of the country. Gandhiji also, as a nationalist leader, Gandhiji also suffered imprisonment many times at all. So because of all these reasons, Tilak was called the forerunner of Gandhiji. Why? Tilak was called the forerunner of Mahatma Gandhi because of many reasons. First thing, the idea of Swaraj is the Mahatma Gandhi's idea only. That is Mahatma Gandhi's ideas of complete independence only, Tilak's idea of Swaraj. Secondly, Tilak maintained close relation with the masses. Same way Mahatma Gandhi also maintained very close relation with the masses. Then the idea of Swadeshi, boycott, prohibition. Tilak preached all these ideas. Same way Mahatma Gandhi also later preached all these ideas. Tilak had to suffer several terms of imprisonment for the sake of the country. Gandhiji also, as a nationalist leader, experienced imprisonment several times. So Tilak's selfless patriotism, strong determination and courage that inspired the masses to fight against British, and that opened a new chapter in the Indian history of freedom struggle. Okay, then next person, Bipin Chandrabal. Bipin Chandrabal, born in Saihat, that's a part of Bangladesh, in the year 1858. He is known as the father of revolutionary thought in India. Okay? Father of revolutionary thought in India. He started his political career as a social reformer. He was closely attached to the Brahma Samaj that was founded by Raja Ram Mohan Rai. He was closely attached to the Brahma Samaj founded by Raja Ram Mohan Rai. He visited number of times in European countries and United States also. So during his visit, he observed how people resisted foreign domination. So after observing all these things, in 1886, he joined the Indian National Congress. Okay, Bipin Chandrabal he was born in Sylhet, that's a part of Bangladesh now, and he is known as the father of a revolutionary thought in India. He started his political career as a social reformer, and he maintained close early stages. He maintained close relation to the Brahma Samaj that was founded by Raja Ram Mohan Rai. He visited number of times in European countries and United States, and during that visit, he observed the people resisted the foreign domination, and later in 1886 he joined Indian National Congress. Now, what were his contributions? First, as a journalist, what was his role? Journalist means what? One who is working in a newspaper, okay, magazine, newspaper, and all. So, as a journalist, he worked for Bengal Public Opinion, the Tribune, New India. This and all is called Tribune New India to propagate its brand of nationalism. Through the Tribune and New India, he spread the brand of nationalism in all over the places. And also his writings, British found his writings and all very seditious, and he was required to give a testimony against Arvind Ghosh, but he is not ready to give that testimony at all. In that circumstances, they arrested and sentenced to 6 months imprisonment. Second thing, as a national education. Second thing is contribution, national education. He wanted to set up national education on the base of the freedom movement. That means it would arouse nationalistic passions and become an effective instrument of social progress. According to Bipin Chandrawal, this national education would arouse the nationalistic passions and become an effective instrument of social progress. Then, thirdly, introduce lot of social and economic reforms to remove social and economic evils that existed in the society. First of all, he opposed caste system and other rigid rules related to intertwining, intermixing, all these things he opposed. He advocated widow remarriage. He encouraged educating women. He believed that most effective way of elevating their position. He stressed the need to develop indigenous industries in the country. He emphasized the development of industries. He preached the use of Swadeshi and boycott foreign goods to eradicate poverty and unemployment. Encourage the use of Swadeshi and boycott the foreign goods. For that purpose, in that way, he wanted to eradicate poverty and unemployment. To establish equality in the society, he wanted to tax the rich more heavily than the poor. Apart from that, he demanded 48 hours of work in a week and increase in the wages. So these are the reforms he introduced in a social and economic field. Okay, now third person, Lala Lajpat Rai. Lala Lajpat Rai was popularly known as Punjab Kesari or Sher-e of Punjab. Sher-e Punjab. Okay, Punjab Kesari, that means the Lion of Punjab, or Sher-e Punjab. Very eminent writer, well-known writer, lawyer, enlightened educator, social reformer, and a staunch fighter against British rule. He remained in the minds of Indians very freshly even now also. He was born at Dudki, Jagron in Punjab. He was in early stages. He was influenced by Arya Samaj movement that was founded by Dayananda Saraswati. Lord Curzon's ruthless measures forced him to fight the British rule through the mass education. His speeches against the misrule of British invited their wrath, and he was arrested several times. He was a good orator, so he gave a lot of through the oratory. He tried to inspire the people at all. So, because of his speeches against the misrule of the British, that invited him the wrath of Englishes, and he was arrested many times. Later, he joined the Congress in 1888 and remained its worker till the end of his life. He joined the Assertive Nationalists in 1907. He carried on agitation against agrarian policy of British government. When he talked against the agrarian policy of British government, He was arrested and deported along with Sardar Ajit Singh to Mandalay. But even then also Lalaji supported workers' movements, and in 1920 he became the first president of All India Trade Union Congress. All India Trade Union Congress first president. He was one of the first Indian to link imperialism with capitalism. This justified the need for working class to join the national movement. So because of that, when he linked imperialism and with capitalism, that made the working class people to join the national movement. In 1920, he was elected president of Indian National Congress. He became member of the Servant of India Society also. He was arrested in 1922 along with other leaders, but later when he came out, uh, he joined with Motilal Nehru and his Swaraj Party in 1923. Again, he was elected as elected to the Central Legislative Assembly. But later, he left Swaraj Party because his political philosophy, he find difficult to share his political philosophy with Motilal Nehru. Because of that, he left the Swaraj Party. What were his contributions? First of all, as an educationalist, as a forceful writer, as a prolific writer. When he was in USA, he started a monthly magazine that's called Young India. Okay, he started a monthly magazine called Young India, and this magazine he started mainly to spread the message of right of India to attain Swaraj. Through this Young India, he spread the message of the right of India to spread India to attain Swaraj. Apart from that, many other publications, The Call to Young India, England's Debt to India, and The Political Future of India. These are the other publications. Okay, what are the other publications? The Call to Young India, England's Debt to India, and The Political Future of India. He founded Punjabi, Vande Mataram, and People. These are the weeklies. Punjabi, Vande Mataram, that is an Urdu daily, and People, that is an English weekly. He also wrote a book called Book on National Education. He also wrote a book on national education, and that called for reform of the present education system. That is mainly he composed that book for what? To introduce certain reform in the existing educational system. Then, as a social reformer, Lalaji Rai was associated with Arya Samaj movement. So, he was one of the main person in the expansion of Dayananda Anglo-Vedic College at Lahore in 1886. He opened orphanages, hospitals, and schools. He set up Servants of the People's Society. Servants of People's Society he set up mainly for the welfare of downtrodden and the outcast people. And apart from that, political work outside India also. He did lot of political work in outside India also. He went abroad and collected the opinion in favor of India's struggle for freedom. When he went to America in 1940, there he joined a party, Khadar Party. Through his writings in Young India, he preached assertive nationalism and inspired Indian youth and kindled the fire of patriotism in them. In 1928, while he was leading a procession at Lahore against Simon Commission, he was injured in a lathi charge. There he succumbed to his injuries a month later on November 17, 1928. That is his last day. Lathi blows inflicted on him, but at the same time, even then also, courageously he raised his voice and declared, Lathi blows inflicted on me would prove someday as nails in the coffin of the British Empire. His prophecy was fulfilled on 15th August 1947. Okay, now that is the contribution of Lala Lajpat Rai. Okay, educationalist and a forceful writer. He composed a magazine called Young India. Then apart from that, so many other publications called Young India, England Step to India, The Political Future of India, then Urdu Daily called Vande Mataram, English Weekly People, and a book on national education. Then as a social reformer, number of orphanages, hospitals, schools, and the Anglo-Vedic College at Lahore. The center is set up. Apart from that, servants of People's Society for the welfare of helpless and needy. Then political work also he has taken. When he went to America, he joined in Qadar party there. He preached the idea of nationalism, asserting nationalism in all over the places, and kindled the Indian youth with the idea of with the fire of patriotism. Okay, thank you.